All right. Now these next few examples are going to be a little bit trickier than the ones we've done so far because these combine the product of powers and the quotient of powers properties. They also have a mixture of numbers and variables within each of the problems. So if you skipped the last couple of videos or you fast forwarded to the very end of them, please make sure that you don't do that on this video. All right, so let's look at this first example here. We have two different bases. We have an x and we have the base of 4. So the rules that we've learned only apply if you have the same base. So the property that I'm allowed to use is the quotient of powers property because of that division where we have a 4 in both of them. So I can't do anything with that x, but I can subtract 4 to the 8th power and then subtract the 5. So that would be 3. So it would be x times 4 to the 3rd power. Again, you can't do any combining because one of them is a base of an x and the other one is a base of 4. They are not the same base, so there aren't any other properties. So I would leave it just like this, or typically, actually, yeah, I would leave it just like this. X times 4 to the 3rd power. I was just going to say you could also put the 4 to the 3rd power first and then the x, but it doesn't really matter. This or this would work. All right, so now let's look at this one. Again, we can't combine or we can't use any of their properties with the 6 and the w because they don't have the same bases. But we can use the quotient of powers property on this one because they both have a base of 6 and we're dividing. So we can subtract the 3 minus 2 and get 6 to the 1st power times w. By the way, 6 to the 1st power is the same thing as just 6. So you would probably just leave it as 6w. All right, last one. A to the 3rd power times b to the 4th times 5 to the 4th over 5 to the 2nd times 5, or b to the 2nd times 5. There's nothing, looking at the numerator, there's nothing that I can add because none of those have the same basis. Same with the denominator. So in this one, again, I can probably only use that quotient of powers property. So if I look at the ones that have a base of b, the numerator has an exponent of 4. The denominator has an exponent of 2. I can subtract those. 4 minus 2 is 2, so I would get b to the 2nd power. And then lastly, I can use that again. I can use the quotient of powers property with the 5s. 5 to the 4th power, and this one's 5 to the 1st power, even though there's not an exponent. It's understood to be a 1. So I would subtract 4 minus 1 to get 3. So 5 to the 3rd power. Now, I didn't actually give you any specific directions on this assignment that said simplify, but what we could do is we could actually, if it doesn't say leave your answer as a power, I could go ahead and simplify 5 to the 3rd power. Because I know that 5 to the 3rd power is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. So my final answer is 125, a to the 3rd, b to the 2nd. If it said leave your answer as a power, it would be this. But if it didn't say leave your answer as a power, it would be this. Which reminds me, we technically did not simplify this first one, because I can go ahead and evaluate 4 to the 3rd power. And 4 to the 3rd power is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. So that one, if I went all the way, would be 64 times x.